My mom drove a school bus for 35 years. Do you think you're better than my mom? Do you think you're better than my sister? Do you think you're better than the nurse, my sister-in-law? And of course, people are like, no, DO, of course I don't.
Your company doesn't have, a fancy CRM program. What are ways that you can use to manage your contact list, manage your leads?
Fridays are the days that I reach out to the people that aren't called realtors. They could be home builders, they could be financial advisors, they could be HR directors, divorce attorneys, etc. Right? So win by noon isn't my own concept. It was one that was taught to me and it's still taught.
Called Leader CRM program was built specifically for the mortgage industry.
I celebrate with my teams and I have for decades. 6 is better than 3 and 3 is better than 0. The goal was 10.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to AD Mortgage Insights. Our goal at Insights is to provide loan originators with useful information, tools, and skills they can apply to maximize their success. I'm Jerry Byers, Senior Content Manager for AD Mortgage. Today, we are joined by a rock star in the mortgage sphere. Dustin Owen runs the extremely popular T-LOP, the Loan Originator Podcast. He is also an in-demand coach for mortgage professionals and has worked with us at AD Mortgage on a number of projects. I was excited to sit down and have an awesome chat with him on Insights. He shares some excellent time management and CRM organization strategies for newcomers and veterans of the industry alike. Dustin's a fun guy with a lot of energy, so get settled in and let's go.
Good to see you, Dustin. We get to meet in a lot of different venues. You helped us out with some great webinar activities and an interview with Sereno Diaco with AD Mortgage. And one of the things that really struck me during those conversations that we had and the webinar was your detailed time management philosophy and system, because I really think that this is something that a lot of people, not just in the mortgage industry, but in general, especially those that are just starting their career, it's like, what do I do when? And for our entire lives, we've been going to school. They tell us where to be. They tell us, when to be there. They tell us when to go to lunch. And then we go to university, and it's pretty much the same thing. We have a little bit of freedom, but for the most part, we have classes at certain times. We have things we have to do. And we're given a plan. But then we get out there and we're working, and all of a sudden, we don't have a boss who is going to micromanage every step of our day for us. Essentially, we're our own boss, especially the successful MLOs that are out there. They're managing their own time. They don't have someone to really just guide them step by step. And so I think it's really important that the people just getting started out, and some of them might be struggling or whatnot, really develop a plan. And you had some great insights on this. So I was really just hoping you could share some of this time management philosophy and how you approach things, from a daily point, or however you think you'd be best to start. And then I'll just ask you some extra questions that I think might be useful.
I love this topic. I teach on this every quarter. I do a free masterclass where I teach the originator's blueprint for success. And it really starts with how do you structure your day, your week, and your month. So before we kind of get into some of those tips and tricks, first and foremost, Jerry, thanks for having me. And shout out to AD Mortgage. I absolutely love my partnership with AD. And honestly, have loved, as being a student in the mortgage industry, I've loved to follow your company grow, to watch it continue to invest into the future of mortgage lending, which is to invest in their clients. Everything from your acquisition a year ago to the story of how you were founded to where the company is going. It's really an incredible story to watch. And then now I feel like from time to time I get to participate in it, which is even cooler. So I'm honored to be here and thanks for the opportunity.
And we
So
appreciate
here's the
that.
deal with our industry. The same thing that attracts most of us to become mortgage brokers, lenders, loan originators is the same thing that's going to prevent us from ever achieving the success we desire. And that is the flexibility. We're like, oh, flexibility with income, meaning unlimited income potential. And I get to make my own schedule, but most of us aren't equipped to make our own schedule. So I start off, especially when I'm coaching originators or branch managers, that when I pinpoint that there's a deficiency in their attentiveness to a routine, then we tackle that first. And I typically start with a little bit of a story where I walk them through, like my mom drove a school bus for 35 years. As a school bus driver, she had to get up every day, put on a uniform, and not just get up. She got up at 4:30 because she had high school students who had to be at the high school by 6:30.
Right.
Then she had to be to the elementary school kids before she got to the middle school kids, and she wore a uniform. Or I tell a story about my sister, the kindergarten teacher. I talk about my sister-in-law, the nurse. Like all three of those women get up every single morning, they put on a uniform and they go to work. And if they don't go to work, bad things happen, right? If
Yeah.
a school bus driver doesn't go to work, kids don't get to school. Well, school
Right.
is like the cheapest primary childcare offered to working parents.
Right.
If a nurse doesn't show up, then that throws off the entire patient like the entire system for doctors being able to treat patients, right?
Yeah.
Like lives are at hand. If my sister, the school teacher, doesn't get there, then all of a sudden, like the kids are thrown out of their routine. So after I explain that to these men and women that I coach throughout the country, I then will slow down and say, do you think you're better than my mom? Do you think you're better than my sister? Do you think you're better than the nurse, my sister-in-law? And of course, people are like, no, DO, of course I don't. I then ask them, then why do your actions tell me otherwise? Because your actions tell me you're better than my mom because you're not willing to every day get up, put on your uniform, and go to work. I'm wearing my uniform today, right? Yes, it's a quarter zip. A, they're trendy, and B, it's kind of chilly outside, right? But I came to work. I came to work meaning I'm not at the office today. I was at the office Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Today I'm working from home. But I have a dedicated place in my house with a door that I had to walk upstairs and shut it. So I ask people when you're getting started, it's really easy. You get up every day, you put on your uniform, and you go to work. Your work schedule should be similar to a nurse, a school teacher, a school bus driver, an engineer. So we start there, right? That's like the most basic. Now, once you're doing that, then there are some best practices that are very mortgage or even realtor specific. I'm sure a financial advisor and a life insurance salesperson could follow these routines and be equally successful. One of those is we have to win by noon, right? So win by noon isn't my own concept. It was one that was taught to me and it's still taught to thousands of mortgage
Absolutely.
professionals and sales professionals throughout the country. Win by noon simply means you do the most important things in the morning. Well, as a mortgage broker, it's your job to get a lead. For 90% of us, that's our job. Now, 10% of us may work in a call center or in a consumer direct environment where leads are provided. However, it's your job to get that lead on the phone. It's your job to convert that lead. So, nonetheless, regardless if you're consumer direct or not, every single morning, sales, marketing, and networking is our number one priority. So we want to front load our day with that. I have a saying, it's your job to get a lead. The work is everything you get to do once you've done your job, right? So the work is calculating income, structuring loans, disclosing loans, locking loans, following up on the appraisal, etc. Right? Going to closings. That's work. The job is to network. The job is to lead generate. So we do that in the morning. And something that I like for people to do is follow theme days. Again, I didn't invent theme days. They were taught to me. And it's interesting. They're taught to me in the mortgage industry, but technically they were taught to me way earlier. When I was a kid, I had to take out the trash.
Yeah.
Trash guy
Crush
came
day.
on Tuesdays and Fridays, right?
Absolutely.
That was a theme. Like I couldn't take the trash out on Wednesday because that's not when the garbage man came. In
Absolutely.
elementary school, I had PE Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, right? It wasn't actually my choice when I had PE. It was the school's choice when the fourth grade class got to go to PE, right? So theme days work regardless if you're the garbage collector, if you're an elementary school teacher, a realtor, a life insurance salesperson, or a mortgage professional. So something that I do is I follow theme days. I then track my data, right? If you don't track it, it didn't happen. That's what my triathlon club friends and I talk about. Like if I went and ran 5 miles yesterday, but I didn't track it, did it really happen? And we say that because we've understood if we track our activity, then that's how we keep ourselves accountable and also look for improvement. So I track how many conversations do I have per day. My goal, 10 meaningful conversations. If I can have 10 meaningful conversations a day, I'm winning the day. So my theme days tell me what proactive activities to do, but ultimately my theme days are helping me create a plan to where I can have 10 meaningful conversations per day. So I'll stop there, Jerry, because I'm sure you have other
No, well,
questions.
and I was curious,
But
can you elaborate? So you
yes.
talk about theme days, which I love these, by the way. It's fantastic. You talked about triathlons earlier and how you train on certain days.
Mhm.
What are some of the theme days that you, just to remind some of the people who haven't seen you before, how do you organize your theme days for your work? So I know you do, a day for everybody that we don't know yet. If you could break that down really quickly, I thought it was super valuable, and I think our listeners will find it just equally as fantastic.
Yeah, so in 90 seconds or less, it's pretty simple. Mondays are the days that I call my referral sources that know me and I know them. Three reasons why I'm calling them. I either want to schedule an appointment, I either want to invite them to an event, or I want to ask for a lead. On Tuesdays, I'm doing my proactive status update calls. That's me proactively reaching out to borrowers, listing agents, buying agents, and title companies and giving them a proactive update on the files that we have in process. Now, I coach, these are actually sales calls, FYI, right? We're backdooring a sales call by calling a status update. Wednesdays is when I either call my circle of influence or my past clients. I call my circle of influence when I'm younger and newer in my career because I don't have that many past clients. If I'm a seasoned veteran, I have a ton of past clients. Wednesdays that day. I call past clients for two reasons: either celebrate their birthday or conduct an annual mortgage review. Thursdays is when I call strangers,
Okay.
right? Anybody that I don't know, they don't know me, and I want to schedule a meeting with them because I want the opportunity to get to know them for the goal of maybe working with them in the future. Fridays are the days that I reach out to the people that aren't called realtors. They could be home builders, they could be financial advisors, they could be HR directors, divorce attorneys, etc. Now, on Fridays, they may be people I know or people I don't know, right? I just need to have my 10 meaningful conversations. And then something I do daily as a successful originator, lead follow up is done daily. So if I'm doing lead follow up and I call Jerry and I get Jerry on the phone and we get an update about he and his wife's home buying process and how things are going, by the way, that is a meaningful conversation, right? So proactively, I'm following my theme days, but my theme days just force me to make calls. My end goal is to have a meaningful conversation. And a question that always comes up, so I'll go ahead and answer it before maybe you ask it.
Yeah.
Even though Wednesday's the day that I'm calling my circle of influence or my past clients. I promise you, rarely are all 10 of my meaningful conversations with a circle of influence person or with a past client. It very well could be a listing agent who's calling me back from the Tuesday. It very well could be a realtor that I left a voicemail for on Monday calling me back. It could be a new lead who came in,
Well, and I
right?
was
My
going to say, it could just
goal.
be a breadcrumb that you followed along the way. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. My
absolutely.
goal, if I want to have a successful day, I just need to have 10 meaningful conversations because I don't trust that I would have 10 meaningful conversations if I did nothing proactive. I follow my theme days so that I am doing some proactive activity in order to achieve my desired result.
Okay. So I'm gonna go coaching philosopher on you here, and say one of the things that some people struggle with when they set goals like this is when they fall short, they feel bad. And how do you, let's say you only get six of your meaningful calls in. How do you attack that the following day? Do you double down or you just say, listen, I'm sticking with 10. Yesterday we fell short. Today we're going to hit target. I think it's important to hear it from you because I know a lot of people try to overcompensate and as a result, I think they push or they try to force that square peg into the round hole. And as a result, they seem desperate, needy, a bunch of things that you don't really want when you're trying to build relationships. So, I mean, maybe you can expand on that just a tad.
Yeah, it's look, the curse of most sales professionals is we tend to be all or nothing people, and that's complete BS. Some days you can't give it your all. Some days you don't have 110%, right? So the one thing that I celebrate with my teams and I have for decades, six is better than three and three is better than zero. The goal was 10. But if you got six, cool. Okay. Tomorrow, let's try to get eight. The next day, let's hit our 10. But there's a reason why we have good days. It's because they don't come 365 days a year. That's why we call them good. The goal is to have more good days than any other day, right? But it's to have more good days than average and bad days combined. So not every day is going to be a good day or even a great day. Celebrate the six you did. You don't have to be all or nothing because six is better than zero, even though six isn't as good as 10.
No, that's a great point. And like I said, shoot for the stars, land on the moon. Shoot for the moon, land on your ass. And it's good to aim high, but it's not the end of the world. You fall short. You just got to learn to build off of it. And like I said, that's what we used to coach this to kids: is hey, don't worry about those losses because they're gonna come. But
Correct. I deal with this with the loan originators and branch managers, heck, even the companies that I consult with. And it's like, you're not going to make or break your year on that one loan or even that one relationship. Okay, now bad habits, yeah, bad habits will could ruin your career, it could ruin your business.
yeah,
A bad culture can ruin your business, it can ruin your career. But one transaction, one referral source, when I'm looking at the money I'm earning, it's not about how much money I make per loan. It's not about how much money I can make in 1 month. It's about how much money can I make in 1 year, how much can I make in my entire career. I just had a college student that I was doing a mentorship for. And the college student's like, "Oh, Dustin, my girlfriend's really concerned that the career path I want to go on is different than if I were to be an engineer and come out of school making $84,000 a year, then 96,000, then 112, and then 130. And she's really trying to push me back into engineering." And I'm like, "That's a terrible girlfriend for one." I said, "But talk about the career path that you're trying to go down." And when he told it to me, I said, "So in your mid 30s, you could and should be making 600 grand a year?" He's like, "Yes." I said, "Bud, it's about how much money you earn throughout your career, not how much money you can make coming out of school." And I look at everything through that same lens, whether it was my sales activity and whether or not I achieved my goal, or even my own personal comp plan. It's not about how much money I can make per loan. It's about how much money can I make per year doing what I love to do, doing what I'm good at, right? And serving the most people. So anyhow, kind of a bit of a sidebar and a rabbit hole, Jerry.
no, no,
I'll,
you're fine. No, and again, good rabbit hole. That's
yeah,
all right. Like I said, this is one of the reasons why I liked having conversations with you. If we do go down rabbit holes, they're good ones. So let me ask you this, and kind of break it down. If you're a new loan officer and maybe you don't have, your company doesn't have, a fancy CRM program. What are ways that you can use to manage your contact list, manage your leads, and stay organized without spending an arm and a leg on, expensive systems to automate things like which we'll talk about later here in a moment. But
great, great question. So the best CRM is the one that you'll use. We'll start there. And you're talking to a guy, I've used Act, I've used Surefire, I've used Jungo. I recently helped my last company build out an entire process using Candid, right? There's Monday.com, there's Rad, there's Go High Level. Like I can keep going and going. But the best one is the one that you'll use. Most of us don't even need a CRM because we don't have enough leads. We don't have enough referral sources. There's very little to manage. Now, we want to get excited and we want to get mesmerized by that technology, but that technology ends up costing us a bunch of time, and that time we should have used going out to build relationships to generate leads. So, in the very beginning, I will tell someone, most of us in the very beginning, you don't even need one. A spiral notepad or an Excel spreadsheet is all you need. Yes, you need to track your data, right? Yes, you need to have some system in place that allows you to follow up. But my first year in this industry, if you're yours or anything like mine, I didn't close a loan for my first 6 months. I closed like 14 loans in the last 5 months of my first year. My second year, I probably closed about 25 or 30 loans. It was that second or my third year, but my second full year. Oh, that's when I funded 110 transactions, right? So until you're generating more than 8, 10, 12 leads a month, use a spiral notepad, use an Excel spreadsheet. You can even use a file drawer with green hanging folders and follow the 31-day prospect follow-up system. Early on in the Loan Officer podcast, like I did episodes on the 31-day prospect follow-up system. I'm sure if you went on YouTube and you're okay listening to some vintage or watching some vintage episodes, you can actually hear me talk about the system that I followed for 7 or 8 years. So that's where I tell people to start. Spiral notepad, Excel spreadsheet. You got to track your data. You got to follow up with your leads, but you don't need the fancy software in the beginning if you're only going to generate 100 leads in a year or even 200 leads in a year, because that's pretty manageable using old school pen, paper, or Excel spreadsheets.
Okay, cool. Now, so let's say you're blessed or you have the money or you already work
Mhm.
for a good firm that's giving you a CRM. What are some ways that just short list of ways that you can utilize that CRM to help automate some of the tasks that you do to make your day more efficient?
So, four things you have to do immediately. And if I remember correctly, AD Mortgage has a CRM,
Oh, I
correct?
know. Trust me, I was going to get to that. I was
Okay, yeah.
without a
No, I mean,
doubt.
no, but like that's why I love to associate with companies like yours is because you are living my credo. My credo is I'm out to shape the future of mortgage lending. You're doing that because you're providing valuable services and tools to allow your clients, your brokers to level up their game and to have resources that top producers have. So no, kudos. It makes me proud to be here with you. So the four things that you need is this. You got to have a list of the realtors that you are targeting. Okay. And that needs to be in your CRM. It needs to be in your CRM because you need to be able to do things like weekly newsletters that you write yourself and you mail out. It doesn't have to be something super fancy. Do the best job you can do in 40 minutes and get it sent, right? You need to have a list of realtors so that when you're hosting events, you can quickly send out a text blast that is inviting them to your next event. Then you have to have your borrowers. Okay, we work so hard to get the leads that we have. We have to work equally as hard to convert them, equally as hard to give them a wow service, equally as hard to ask them to refer us their friends, family, and neighbors who are also looking to buy or refinance. And then we need to find a way to stay in front of them, create that client for life, so that they call us in 3 years when they're trying to buy their next home, whether it's an investment property or a second home, or they want to call us in 2 years when rates drop and they want to do a refi with us. So within the CRM system that I'm accustomed to, I always had a 9 month prospect follow-up system. So when someone was a lead, right, they weren't yet under contract, they hadn't yet had a file get disclosed, I had for 9 months text messages and emails, we call them journeys or campaigns, that I wrote myself. And my CRM, once they were put into the CRM, it got sent. Now, the good thing for me, I always chose a CRM that allowed me to API with my LOS, my loan origination software. Not everyone has that, not everyone needs it, but I always went that route. Now, the third thing I need, because I need a realtor list. I now need a list of my we call them prospects where I come from, prospective clients. And I need to have something that is behind the scenes texting and emailing on my behalf to try to increase my likelihood that I can convert that lead. But when someone is under contract, when they're in process, I need to have a campaign for them. And in a perfect world, that campaign APIs with my LOS. So that way, when a milestone changes from file disclosed to maybe conditionally approved or conditionally approved to CTC, there's a series of emails and text messages that go out to listing agent, buying agent, and borrower. And then once I close someone, that's when my relationship starts. So I need to have a CRM that's going to help me email them on their birthday or text them on their birthday. Email them to schedule their annual mortgage review. Something that maybe celebrates spring, something that celebrates Thanksgiving, and then just data is in my CRM. So I can always say, wait a minute, rates just dropped from 7 to 5.75. Who do I have in my database that has an interest rate of 6.25 or higher? And then I can pull that list because that data should have been housed in my CRM because those people are my past clients. And those are the people who are getting the birthday messages and the annual mortgage review messages. So very high level, but these are some of the things that within your CRM you could and should be doing.
Well, and I just like to point out that, you have to start someplace. And, every long journey starts with a single step. And that first step is getting organized, understanding what data you need to be tracking and how do you measure it. And then the next step is to make that process a little bit more efficient. And if at some point you can take on a CRM that can help manage some of that, automate some of it, then that's a great thing. And like you said, I'll just put the shameless plug out here for AD, and that is that we give all of our partner brokers and MLOs a free CRM to use. They don't have to use it. It's free for them to use. It's called Leader CRM program. It was built specifically for the mortgage industry. It's not trying to fit somebody else's generic CRM into the mortgage industry. It was built just for our industry, and it ties right into our AIM partner portal for our partners as well. So it all works together in unison as you need it. So another
Yeah,
really
and,
cool
and
thing.
no, that is awesome. It's beyond cool. But something to keep in mind, if you don't have a CRM or the CRM that you have is a spiral notepad or the CRM you have is an Excel spreadsheet, those four things that I mentioned is how you need to start your CRM journey,
Right.
right? You
Organize.
need to have a list of realtors. Those realtors do need to be invited to events. Those realtors do need to receive some kind of a weekly newsletter from you. You do need to have some kind of a system, even if it's you manually texting, it's you manually calling. That actually works better than the automated stuff, right? The automated stuff is like in case you get quote unquote too busy to follow up with your leads, then the system is working behind the scenes for you. But before you have that, your own thumbs on that text or your own mouth sending a voice message to one of your prospective clients is extremely effective. You reaching out to listing agents and buying agents and borrowers at all the various milestones for a file in process is extremely beneficial to their experience, but also you building a relationship and generating more referrals. And then you picking up the phone to wish someone a happy birthday or text them a funny GIF. Like these are all things you can do, even if all you have is a spiral notepad or all you have is an Excel spreadsheet.
Well, and like I point out to people, because I have grown children now, and they're like, "Oh, well, we have this and this," and I'm like, relationships are still being built long before we had any of these things.
Yes.
Okay, we still did business, things still happened, and before I had a mobile phone or a digital calendar or contact list, I knew how to find a good mechanic, and that was I call my buddy and say, "Hey, who's a good mechanic?" And he'd say,
Yes.
I use this guy. And you know what? I went to that guy because I trusted my buddy. And I said, so relationships mattered long before we had all this. And I still think that they're going to going forward. So that's some great thing to we can automate all these things in the world, but at some point, relationships between people still have an impact, a significant impact, I think. And that's again, it's my personal philosophy. Some people might think I'm a little aged by such a thing, but I really do believe, especially in our industry. So, hey,
Yes.
I know you have a big thing going on, you and your guys, with the cruise ship, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about T-LOP, and then I also wanted you just to plug this cruise deal that you guys are doing real quick when we get it on here on video before you have to go, because I just think it's just a fun event. I wish I could go. Maybe I'll catch the next one, but yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I would love to. So for anyone who's interested, like I am a 20 plus year veteran in the mortgage industry. I'm an originator through and through. And I still would tell someone when they say, what do you do for a living? Like I help people purchase property through the financing of their home, right? Like that is what I do. However, most of my day today is spent coaching branch managers and loan officers. I do so through T-LOP's originator coaching. You can find all the information you would want about that on our website, tloponline.com, T-L-O-P online.com. T-L-O-P stands for the Loan Officer Podcast. That's how all of this started. I started podcasting almost 6 years ago. All I wanted to do was share all of the lessons I learned about life, business, real estate, personal finance, because I became a mortgage loan originator, right? In my eyes, and they still are in my eyes, I kind of want to be if Dave Ramsey and Joe Rogan had a baby. So Spotify, Apple, and YouTube is a great way for people to catch that podcast. Our YouTube channel, one of the best free resources for coaching and training for the mortgage industry, as well
Absolutely.
as home buyers and real estate agents. If you went to T-LOP Entertainment on YouTube, or you just search the Loan Officer Podcast on YouTube, subscribe to that channel. Now, something we're doing, Jerry, for the first time ever in 2026, we want to do an experience for mortgage brokers and loan officers. Anyone who tunes into our show, who's a part of our coaching community, or they're just cool mortgage professionals who want to do a cool event in September. The dates are going to be September 14th through 18th. We're leaving out of Port Canaveral, Florida, which is the greater Orlando area. We're going to take a 4-day cruise to the Bahamas, where we have 100 rooms reserved. So I anticipate this will sell out probably pretty quickly. We haven't even formally announced it. Like, we don't even have our website up and running. We just inked the contract with Royal Caribbean last week, but we're taking Royal Caribbean's biggest and nicest boat. It's called the Utopia. And we're going to do something different. We're going to get 100 plus mortgage professionals together. On Monday night, we're going to do a kickoff reception. Tuesday, it's a day for you to go explore the Bahamas. Tuesday night, we'll probably do something really fun. Wednesday, it's an all-day sales rally. Then Thursday, we're going to be at Royal Caribbean's private beach, and we're going to do a beach bash. We're going to get you back to port by 6 a.m. on Friday. That way you can get back home, get back to work. And from what I can hear, or what I've heard from others, this ship has some of the best Wi-Fi on it. So for anyone who's worried about missing work, you will be able to get the best of all worlds, where you can still get some work done, you can come in network, you can get a little R&R, and maybe you can pick up some best practices along the way. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for the first ever T-LOP cruise, September 14th through 18th. More information is going to be forthcoming.
No, thanks a lot. I appreciate it because, like I said, I thought it was one of the coolest things I'd heard and one of the greatest events. And we do a lot of events at AD Mortgage. We do a lot of cool events, even at our offices in Fort Lauderdale and whatnot. But this sounded like something really unique and something to be a
Well,
lot of
Jerry,
fun.
we have room for 7 sponsors. We have 1 VIP sponsor, we have 2 platinum sponsors, and then we have 4 gold sponsors. Our VIP sponsor with the sponsorship gets a balcony room for 2. So just going to put it
Hey,
out there, in
selling
case
point.
you
I'll
want to.
throw that up to there to the big guys. Something tells me that if we do it, I'm not getting that balcony room, no. Um, but um, but yeah, I'm definitely kicking that up to the big guys because we would certainly like to be there amongst this for such a cool event. Well, I'm going to let you go. I know you got things to do. I really appreciate you taking your time. Again, I encourage all of our listeners, if you got a chance, take a look at the Loan Originator Podcast. Really good stuff. Lots of free information that you can get just off of the podcast and whatnot. And if you want some personal assistance, I know a lot of people who are just incredibly inspired by the stuff that Dustin is teaching and with the ways that he's showing people how to maximize their energies to get the most out of it. And so a remarkable guy. I wish you all the best. I hope we can
Thank you,
connect
sir.
again soon on something else. And we'll talk again soon.
Perfect. Thank you, Jerry.
I hope you took notes on how you can apply some of Dustin's advice straight away. To be honest, I started applying many of his strategies to my routine after doing a webinar with him a few months back. The changes in my productivity have been fantastic. Like Dustin said, he didn't invent the wheel, and he's not trying to reinvent it. He's added his own unique twist to some familiar concepts, which many of us find refreshing. I hope you do too. Let us know in the comments if you're already using some of these techniques and or which ones you plan on implementing. We're interested in what you think. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to check out a ton of content, all centered on helping you close more deals. Best of all, share it with your colleagues. See you next time.